All right, it's building up.
Yeah, I think it's working.
All right, there we go. We are live.
All right.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here, Mark. I'm still here.
Well, something ain't right. Hold on,
Can
maybe
you
I got it. There we go. I had to get rid of another one.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, everything good. Everything good. What's
Okay.
going on? It's your
Oh
boy,
man,
Brooklyn
everything is
Boys.
great, man. It's another day above ground, brother. I just count my blessings, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Guys, I got my man Kenny White with us. Now, before we even get started, because I know child support is it's a touchy subject, but I just want y'all to know we are both fathers. We love our children, and we most definitely believe that the child or children should be took care of. Let's get that out the way because I know you ladies is waiting to jump on us and beat our head in.
Please don't do that. Please.
Kenny, and I like to get on here at least once a week and talk about child support because there's a lot of young men, old men too, who are struggling in life because they're not making enough money to live after paying child support. Now, I was reading one of your posts and you was telling a story about some years ago when you happened to be in that situation. And like we said, we don't condone not taking care of the children. That's not what we're saying. We're just talking about how the system can abuse men sometimes. And we're going to talk about what Kenny did to offset that. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Kenny, I'm gonna let you take over and I'm gonna shut up.
Well, Mark, it kind of started out for me back in 2011 when I got divorced from my ex-wife, and she told me, you know, when we got divorced, she was really upset. Now, I lived in that situation for a lot of years, Mark. I lived in a situation where um, I wasn't happy. You know, I tried to stay as we often do as men, as fathers. I tried to stay in that situation for my children, you know, and
Right.
what I found out through all of that is that that is really the wrong thing to do. And as we always say, you don't want to live a life of regret. And so like I said, my ex-wife, she was very upset with me, and she really wanted to make it so that I couldn't live. Now, this is what she had told me when we got divorced. She said, I'm gonna make it so that you can't live. And so
That's
um,
crazy.
yeah, I would go. My children, they live in Arizona, so I would go to Phoenix, and at the time they were in Tucson, but they moved to Phoenix, and I would go to Phoenix and I would visit them. Me and my current wife, and we'd have a good time with them, and everything would be fine. And then, a little bit after I would leave, things would get popped off. A lot of drama, and I'm like, what happened? We were just with them. They were just fine. They had a good time. Well, I found out, in the background, it was that their mom was telling them that I didn't love them, that I didn't care about them anymore because I had a new wife. And so actually, when I got put on the child support, I actually started. That's why I actually started driving trucks like a long time ago when my kids were kids, right? So I started in 2001, and the overall goal was to provide a better life for them and take care of them. But what ended up happening was I actually started having to work harder and harder and harder and spend more time away from them, right? So I miss so much of their lives, time that I can't get back. And at the time I thought I was doing the right thing, but in essence, it like now that I look back on it, it actually wasn't the right thing. I wish I could have been there more for them and spent more time with them, you know. But when I got put on the child support, it actually made things a lot harder, you know, because the child support was so high. And trucking, when you're in trucking, Mark, it's you get paid by the mile. So it's not, you know, like for example, if you're working 40-hour job, 9 to 5, you know what hours you're gonna work and you know what you're gonna get paid. Well, with me being a trucking, it's never the same. It fluctuates every week, right? Because one week you might have a short week, and then the next week you might have a really good week. And so, and then there was another thing I was supposed to. She had it set up for me where I was supposed to pay every Monday, and I didn't. I get paid on Fridays, right? So she had it set up like if there was an extra. You know how like sometimes in the month there's like a fifth Monday in the month.
Yeah.
So like if there was a fifth Monday, I had to pay an extra week, extra week of child support, right? So that's initially some of the reason why I ended up becoming an entrepreneur almost 7 years ago, because things were very difficult for me and my wife at the time. We have a really good relationship, but what ended up happening was when you have somebody constantly tormenting you and telling you they're going to have you arrested every other day, and just then you're taking it from the kids, you're taking it from her, you're taking it from your job, you know, you're taking it all over the place, right? And so, you know, it got very hard. I mean, there was times we didn't have money to eat. Like we had to go days without eating, because if I didn't pay the child support, you know, she very well could have had me arrested or locked up, you know. And I think right now there's a lot of men that some men are sitting in locked up right now because they would rather sit in jail than pay, you know. But or sometimes the courts they'll say like, you know, it's better, but it's actually not better because now they're locked up. Now they can't pay, you know. So
And it still keep going.
yes, sir. And so that's initially why I became a lot of my why I became an entrepreneur. I started seeking alternative ways to make money on the line, and that was about almost 7 years ago. And you know, network marketing has really been. I've done several things, but network marketing has really been a blessing for me. It's made a way where I could generate other income, you know, online, and it's really helped me get through some difficult times, because I like to say all the time, Mark, that network marketing or online marketing or affiliate marketing, no matter what you're doing online, it's really an everyday superhero's dream. You know, that's something that I like to say. You know, because it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter, you know, if you're born into money, none of that matters. All that matters is that you have an unwavering faith, right? And you have a spirit of determination, and you don't stop, guys, because a lot of people, Mark, they look at fear as it's a bad thing, right? But the failure is actually giving you strength, right? And because if you've never went through any difficulties or you've never had any kind of struggle, you're not going to know. I mean, you're not going to grow, right? Because when you're in a comfortable place, you know, nothing grows there. It grows from doing things that you never did and being uncomfortable. So that's just something, you know, that you have to get used to is being uncomfortable, you know. And I know the situations that I've been in, like, you mean I got to talk to some people, share some information, whatever. I can do that because I trust me, I know what the bottom feels like. You know, I've been there. You know, I've been at the bottom and I've been on top. You know, and it really is lonely at the top, Mark. You know how they say it's crowded at the bottom.
Nobody's
right?
there with you. Everybody's at the bottom. The bottom is crowded.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The bottom is crowded. I don't want no parts of that. Now, for our people on here, the new people, I'm going to specifically say men who are struggling, because their income, a large majority of their income is getting eaten up by child support, and they want to start a home business, but they really don't know what to do. Like some of them have tried network marketing, but without the right training. Can you talk about that, how important mentorship and coaching is?
It's actually very important. I'm glad you brought that up, Mark, because I'll tell you something. I have went through a lot of bad mentors, and what I learned is that I had to go through that because that was my personal journey, right? That was part of my personal story. But investing in yourself and having great mentors is very important in helping you succeed and getting to the next uh, level. And something else that I've also found out, Mark, is that uh, you can't do what everybody else is doing, right?
That's
You
right.
have to do what works for you, right? Because whatever your thing is that you do the best, that's your gift, right? That's the thing that you do better than anybody else, and nobody can take that away from you, right? So I can't tell you, Mark, how to do your thing, right? Because only you know what works for you, right? What works for me, it may not work for you. And so I think a lot of times people get caught up in following all the top leaders, but what they don't realize, Mark, is that it works for the top leaders because they have the documentation. But if you don't have the documentation, those same strategies, they're not going to work for you. So you have to think outside the box, right? And you really have to be different. That's what I've learned through this game, and it really took me until now, Mark. I had to literally take a piece here, a piece there, piece over there, and I had to put it together like a
Mhm.
puzzle, right? And now I can say, you know what? I don't have to worry about how I'm going to put it together because I've put it together. I know what works, but it comes from a lot of sleepless nights where you want to throw in the towel and wipe the tears and all of that and being like nobody supports you, nobody believes in you, and invested
I,
a lot of money,
I've
thousands of.
quit many a night.
Yep, I know. We all have. If you've been doing this any time, you've probably quit a few times, or got discouraged. But the most important thing, Mark, is that you got back up
Kept
and you
going.
came at it again, right?
Yep. Now, I know you're on the road, so I'm not going to keep you. But the last question I'm going to ask you is, I love the home business industry. If I'm doing affiliate marketing or I'm doing network marketing or e-commerce, it's all been good to me. So I will never quit. Tell me, Kenny, why will you never quit the home business industry?
Honestly, I'll never quit this home-based business industry because, you know, a job like you guys, and this is not to knock 9 to 5s, right? We've all had a 9 to 5. We've all been there. We definitely, we can understand, but just it's something about being your own boss. It's something about buying your time back, right?
Mhm.
Because in essence, um, it's not really even so much about the money. The money is cool, it comes and goes. But what's most important is you buying some of your time back, right? Because
Time
time,
freedom.
that's your most precious asset. And that's the thing, that's the one thing that you can't get back. But what you can do is you can change your time moving forward, right? And how you spend it. And at the end of the day, Mark, I think no matter what we're doing, or, we all got our differences. That's what makes it so great. But the two things that I know, or three things that I know everybody wants in life is they want to be healthy, they want to be happy, right? And they want to be wealthy.
Yep.
So I focus on those three things. That's what I focus on: health, wealth, and happiness, because you are only as good as you feel and as good as you look, right? If you feel good and you look good, you're already uh, wildly successful, right? You've already prospered. You are enriched, right?
Yep.
You are enriched already. So if you focus on those three things, you could never go wrong, you know. And one more thing, I'll turn it back over to you, Mark, is that for all the, you know, all the young brothers and sisters that are going through child support, because there's some women too that are going through it. You know,
Absolutely.
we sympathize with you. It's a difficult thing. You know, I wish we could say that all relationships would be cohesible, you know, for both parties involved. But sometimes, guys, it just don't happen like that, you know. So all we can do is just keep our head above water and, you know, just keep doing the best that we can do. If you're doing the best that you can do, then, you know, there's no more that anybody can ask of you, you know.
You've done
But just
enough.
know there are people out here that care and sympathize with you and have went through some of the same um, struggles, you know, and made some of the same personal sacrifices that you have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Kenny, thank you. And you lucky I ain't have my bingo. I ain't had time to grab my bingo sweatshirt.
Man, you know, it just kind of worked out like that. I had this shirt on today. It was cold over here, Mark. It was like, man, it was only like 29 degrees. I had to put on my big coat, and this is the first
Woo.
time all year I've had to put this on. So, because man, I've been down in Florida a lot, and I'm like, man, I come back up here to Kansas City, and I'm like, I don't want no parts of this no more, man.
All right. Kenny, thank you. I appreciate you.
My
And
pleasure.
as always, guys, I will see you on the next video.
God bless.
I'll see you, man. Thank you.
All right.